There you go. There is the code that you will need to get past your first technical interview. By the way, don't ever write code like this. It is absolutely terrible. So I got a question today from Sabrina, widely known as the nerdiest and quirkiest person on YouTube.
Give me that promo.
I went there. And she asked, good resources to teach myself coding? And I got really excited because this is a question I should be able to answer. I've been coding since I was a little kid. I've been working professionally as a software engineer for the past 8 years. I completed a computer science major, though never actually wrapped up my undergraduate degree, but I've given a whole bunch of talks on software. I've tech reviewed 20 some odd books and written and read a whole bunch of tutorials as well. I am credentialed for this shiz. But surprisingly, this is actually a really difficult question to answer, and it's one that developers get asked a lot by people who are looking to break into the field. How on earth do I get started? Now, there are two sort of stock replies that developers have to just kind of fire off. I want to talk about these briefly and discuss why maybe they're not the best ideas. The first one is that you have to have an academic understanding to build software. Go to school. If you want to build games, make sure you learn vector calculus. If you want to build systems, study Boolean algebra and math. Make sure that you've learned your traveling salesman, your multi-arm banding. Sorry, what? Now the problem with this suggestion is that most developers are inherently lazy. That's the reason that we write software, to make computers do things for us. And it's very difficult to learn things when you're not building something that you're excited about. The second suggestion that you'll get, which I think is a lot more common, is you'll have people say, learn C, or learn JavaScript, or learn Ruby on Rails, or some other toolkit or framework or language. And what's interesting about this is that they usually recommend tools and languages that they personally enjoy using to solve their own problems, which may not match yours. Programming languages are a bit similar to human languages. Just because you can read and write French doesn't make you a French novelist. In the same way, just because you know the syntax of a particular programming language, it doesn't mean you can solve problems with it. There are a ton of different programming languages out there, all designed to meet particular needs. But unlike human languages, most programming languages are designed to be accessible to people who may not already be familiar with the language. Let's use Hello World as an example. Hello World is a very simple program, and it's usually the first one that you'll write when you're exploring a new programming language. All you're trying to do is make sure that your program runs and that the system will output the text Hello World. So let's take a look. Here's an example of Hello World written in a programming language called C. Next we have Hello World written in Java. Then we've got Hello World written in JavaScript and Ruby and Python, and a cool functional programming language called Elixir. Now, even if you have no experience with programming at all, I think you'll agree these bear some remarkable similarities. What a lot of developers may forget to mention when you're asking for advice is that the vast majority, probably 80 or 90% of the skills that you learn in one programming language will be transferable to another one. We all have our favorites. I'm a fan of Ruby and JavaScript and Elixir, but don't listen to people who say, you have to learn this or you have to learn that, because those suggestions usually come from personal preferences based on the particular problems that those individuals are trying to solve. So I've argued that you shouldn't start with programming theory or by soliciting advice on what language to start with. But then, how do we get started? I want to suggest to you that you don't actually want to learn to program. But Kevin, I told you that I want to learn. I know, but you don't want to learn to program. What you want to do is solve a problem. Maybe there's an app on your phone that you don't like and you think it could be done a better way. Or maybe you've decided that you really want to have a website. Or maybe you've got a game that you really want to make. Learning programming is like practicing scales. It's going to make you a great musician, but if you never get to play a song, it's going to be very frustrating. It's really hard to learn things when you're not doing something cool with it. For me, my first real programming problem was high school math tests. I'd be using my graphing calculator and I'd show all my work and I'd forget to carry a 1 somewhere and I'd end up with the wrong answer. And it was really frustrating because I knew the stuff, but I just made a small mistake and didn't realize that I had done it. So I went in and I looked at TI Basic, which is the programming language that you can use on your graphing calculator, and I set things up so it would FOIL stuff and factor stuff and it would check my answer. It would go ahead and verify that for me. So I could still go through and do all my work, but then I had the confidence of knowing that I had gotten the right thing at the end, or that I needed to go back and check for a small mistake. Now, TI Basic is not a great language, but it was super easy to learn because I was really excited about the stuff I was making. So rather than learning to program, go ahead and find some problems that you're really excited about trying to solve. This is going to be the sort of thing that gives you the excitement to actually learn the skills that you need. By the end of it, you'll have made a really cool thing, and you'll have accidentally learned a bunch of useful skills along the way. So don't learn to program. That's like learning how to saw, or how to glue, or how to hammer. Solve cool problems and make cool things. And if you're not sure of the right tools to use for your particular problem, that's something we can certainly help with. If you appreciated this video or think that other people might find it useful, I really appreciate you sharing it out. Otherwise, have a great day. Cheers.